Thank you very much. Okay, Ivannas.
Well, hi guys. Even though I can't see you, whoever's here, thank you for being here, and thank you, Arik, for organizing this event, for giving me the opportunity to speak and share my experience. I have been dry fasting for 3 years. Nearly 10 years ago, my body just started to fall apart. Basically, at the age of 30, I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease. I was having seizures. I was in kidney failure. I couldn't digest anything. I had lost 2/3 of my hair. I mean, I had no energy. I was a dead person walking, and I was looking for ways to get myself healthy. Doctors couldn't help me. A lot of them just dismissed me. I've had a doctor who basically ghosted me. He stopped returning my phone calls because he would tell me things like, your blood work looks fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're making this stuff up. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago that I found Dr. Robert Moore's, and I found the fruitarian lifestyle, which was when sort of like the skies opened up and I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the missing link. And I transitioned to the fruitarian lifestyle, and which I still am following. And then I started fasting together with it. About 3 months into the fruitarian lifestyle, I decided to start fasting, and I started with 24 hours per week. That was all I was doing. Once a week, one day, 24 hours. And I did that for about 6 to 8 months. Okay. And then I decided to slowly begin to increase the duration of my fasts. And I remember, you know, I was so proud of myself the first time I got to like 50 hours. I thought it was like the most amazing accomplishment I had, you know, ever done. And looking back to like 50 hours is really not much, but at that point it was such a huge deal for me. So, you know, we all start at our level and we build up to it. So fasting is to me, I always tell people, it's like working out or going to the gym. There's no point in doing it unless you're doing it regularly. You know, going to the gym a few times in your lifetime is not going to do much for your physique, is not going to give you the body you want. It's the same with the fasting, right? So unless it's something that you incorporate into your lifestyle on a regular basis, there's really no need to bother. And 4 months ago, I did my longest fast to date, which was 7 days. And I had written an article about it, and I had shared it on your forum and on Facebook. And then the COVID-19 happened, which sort of shut down my job and gave me some opportunity to do some more fasting, which I've always wanted to do, and I always wanted to push my body. I had read the book by Dr. Filonov, which is called Medical Dry Fasting, Myths and Reality. And I've sort of been using his expertise to guide me on this journey. I recommend his book. I read it in Russian since it's the language I can still read and understand, but there's a Google Translate format online at curezone.com. You can find the link. It's not perfect, it's in English, but it's understandable. So according to Dr. Filonov, the top end of fasting is 12 days. You know, you can start at whatever you start, and people normally do not go over 12. So 12 is the limit, as far as we know, in terms of dry fasting, where it's safe and can be implemented in a supervised fashion where it does not hurt you. So it requires you to be really in touch with your body and understanding what is happening, knowing the difference between going into a healing crisis during fasting and where something's wrong with your body, where you have to sort of stop and not fast anymore. So each fast I find is very different and unique. Every time different things happen to my body, different time, each time it's different in terms of ease or difficulty. And really depends on where I am mentally and emotionally at that time, as well as physically. So when I did the 7-day fast 4 months ago, about 3-4 days into it, I had a very hard time. I had almost broken my fast. It was very difficult for me in terms of cravings. I was really thirsty and I was hungry, and it was hard for me. This time, the first 6 days were super easy. It was almost like, wow, I can't believe this is going so swimmingly, you know, because it's a mind game. You start off, if you start off and it's your day one and you think to yourself, I got another 7 or 8 or 9 days, forget it. You lost the battle right there, because it's just too overwhelming. You can't imagine yourself going through with it. You go, I'm only like 12 hours in. I can't imagine going for another 7-8 days. So it's a mind game in that you start off with where you're comfortable, and you only take it one day at a time. And I have gotten into a habit of talking to my body and actually hearing responses. Like, now my body talks back to me. I've started treating my body as a separate entity, and I talk to my cells, I talk to my body. So every time I go into a fast, I have a conversation with my body as to what is going to happen. What are we going to do? How far we're going to take this. And this time I wanted to set a time frame. The top end would be 10 days. But my body told me, the response was 9. And I said, come on, I said, we can push this a little bit. I'm not going to pressure you, but you know, let's settle on 10. Of course, I didn't make it to 10. 9 was the cutoff. So you start to learn to sort of go, okay, it's not you just imagining, you're actually having a conversation, you're getting feedback from your body. And the body said, nope, 9. And the hardest part of it was not really hunger or thirst, because after 7 days, it all shut off. I had no thirst, I had no hunger, nothing. But I couldn't stay in my body. It was the most uncomfortable thing ever. And you know, as I mentioned earlier, I took care of this dying gentleman, and I watched him die over a period of a few weeks, and I saw him like claw at himself and trying to get out of his body, really like being uncomfortable. And that is how I felt. And that is, I just couldn't get comfortable in any way, shape, or form after a certain point. You know, after 5 days, I couldn't sleep at all. I was sleeping maybe 45 minutes a day to an hour. I could not sleep, and there was no way for me to get comfortable. I couldn't lie down in a way that was comfortable. I did not care to watch TV. I did not care to read. Nothing just seems to relieve that itch that you have internally, that discomfort that you have. And you get so hot, you are on fire. The only thing that was keeping me going was ice packs. And the first time I had put ice packs all over my head, at the back of my neck, within a few minutes, I started to drift off to sleep. And this is when, you know, I had this moment. I was like, oh my God, the reason I can't sleep is because I am so internally hot and inflamed that this is why I can't sleep. And as soon as the ice was on me and as my body started to cool down, I was able to sort of start to drift off to sleep. And I would sleep maybe like for an hour, 15 minutes at a time, until the ice packs would melt and I would have to change them. And it got to the point that my body was so on fire, but I couldn't feel the cold. Thank God that I'm in New York, and at this time it was in the 40s, which is still cool enough, and I had all the windows open. But at one point I realized that my body was shaking, because the ice that I was putting on me was making my body cold, but I wasn't feeling it. I was still feeling extremely hot, but I could see that my body was reacting in a way as if it were cold. I simply could not feel it. So there was a disconnect between what I felt and what my body felt. And there was a separation between the body consciousness and my consciousness. So by the time I got to day 9 and I finished day 9, and I was touching myself, it's just another 24 hours. I just couldn't stay in my body. It was unbearable. It was so, so uncomfortable that I just couldn't do it. It wasn't the thirst, it wasn't the hunger. I could have gone. After a certain point, your body just shuts that completely off and you don't feel it. But this discomfort of being in your body and not being able to find a way to get comfortable in any position, that was the hardest thing, really. Now, I wanted to share some things, some tools that I used, because this is something that really helped me. I came into awareness of certain types of energetic technology, and this is by a man named Brian DeFlores. And I am somebody who is an energy healer. I am a channel, and energy work is something that I've done for more than 20 years. So energy is something I'm very comfortable with. I'm very sensitive to it. You know, for me to sense energy is as easy for somebody to walk into a room and be able to tell the difference between the smell of pizza and a cake or cookies baking. So when I first became aware and I sensed the energy, it hit me like a sledgehammer. I was like, whoa, this is like a real deal thing here. Now, this man, Brian DeFlores, what he does, he creates energetic artwork. And he created galleries for medical conditions. So, you know, he draws them by hand. And each drawing is encoded with specific energetic frequency for specific conditions. And I'm going to give you an example. So you can see this is what is known as the universal medical template. And you would use this with other templates, such as, for example, I have a template here for sleep disorders, right? And what he also does, he has these types of drawings, he refers to them as accelerators. So he has some this is for cellular detoxification and repatterning. And what it does is that it clears out old patterning and detoxes the body, initiates DNA activation through the master cell, and sets up new cellular light patterning and youthens the body. So the energy is actually really strong in these. And what you do is you look at them and you receive the energy into your body. And throughout the fasting, every single day, I was working with these templates, and they were extremely helpful. There's one for emotional balance. So anytime I would get like really antsy, I would look at them and I would feel myself to start to calm down. So this was a tremendous help for me. Now, these are not, you know, miracle things. What it is, there's an energy, and if you're putting out energy and effort that is in alignment with this frequency, that it helps you. You understand? It's almost like if you are sailing a boat and then you have the wind that goes, you know, with you with the current. So it's like that type of an acceleration of what you're doing. So if you're already eating properly for your health, if you're already meditating and doing energy work, if you are fasting, this actually helps, right? So this was extremely helpful to me throughout the fasting. And I had a lot of elimination that happened during this period of time. There were certain healing crises, and I had several that are sort of repeating themselves, because the body continues to work on the same thing over and over until it's finished healing it. So again, I had the throat thing, but I could feel different parts of my throat and my esophagus that were affected this time as opposed to last time. And it only lasted 3 days. But one thing happened that has never happened to me before during any fasting or any healing crisis, be it juice fasting or being on a fruit diet, is that I started at one point for 12 hours, I was eliminating kidney stones and kidney gravel, which I did not even know that I had kidney stones and kidney gravel until it started to come out of me. And, you know, it was this rust color. I had these pebbles coming out. It was extremely painful. And it lasted literally 12 to 13 hours, and then I felt perfectly fine. So these medical templates were extremely helpful to me, and I recommend them. I will post the link in the WhatsApp group so that you guys can look at them. And he has these accelerators for any conditions. He has many galleries apart from the medical ones. You know, he has galleries for psychic development, for upgrading your energy system, anything you really want. He channels ascended masters, so you can look at it and see what works for you and what doesn't. Another technology that I rely on is by Inner Talk, and this is subliminal type of technology where you listen to the sound that the conscious mind can hear, but underneath that sound, there's inserted subliminal affirmations that you cannot physically hear, but the mind receives and reconditions the mind. So, you know, I had things for like healing. I had a program for freedom from sugar, from, you know, for trauma and stuff like that. Because when you're fasting, you're not only going through the physical unloading, you're also dealing with emotional stuff. Like, for example, on day 8, I just started crying for no reason. And I had no idea why I was crying. And it was just an emotional release, and I let it happen, and then it was fine. So what I did was I created a playlist of these programs, and I had them on repeat constantly. And all you hear, you know, on the background is just like ocean sounds, waves crashing, right? So it's very unobtrusive. It's almost like white noise, but it's working on your consciousness. It's working on your body. I like to address the whole person and really go after the issues, because the physical is always a manifestation of the emotional, of the energetic, and so forth. So you have to work on different levels. And I find that these particular programs are very helpful in terms of healing both the body and the emotional self. I didn't really have a lot of cravings. I only had two very specific cravings that were for chocolate and coffee. And I don't even drink coffee. I haven't had coffee in about 20 years. So it was sort of an interesting thing to have a craving for coffee. But these were not really intense. Like I had a very specific craving for chocolate covered caramel. Like I wanted it. Okay. I wasn't hungry for anything else, didn't care. And I actually, as I was during the fast, I ordered it online, right? So it was like, I was so obsessed with it that I ordered it and I got it. And now it's sitting on my counter and I can't even look at it. I'm so disgusted by it. So, you know, you find that when you're in the moment, you're going to have cravings that are going to go away, and you're going to be like, ew, like, I don't even know why I wanted that. I can't believe I even wanted that once you come out of it. So the trick for me is never to like deny myself and say, no, don't think about this. No, I let myself like go into the fantasy. I'll even order the stuff like I did with the caramels. I bought them. I told myself, I'm going to have this. Once I come out of this fast, I'm going to have this. And then I was like, ew, no, it's like, I almost had like a visceral reaction of, no, my body does not want it. I don't want it. So a lot of the times when we detox certain residues from our body, you're going to experience it as a craving. You think that you want it. It's just because you're getting it out of your system and you're processing it out of your body. So you think you want it, but once it's out, it's like, no, you don't. And another thing that I learned is I used to break my fast with juice, and I learned that this is too rich and too much, because I would have like, even after 5 days or 6-7 days, I would have a really severe intestinal discomfort after having my first juice. it's because it's too dense, too nutritiously dense. So I started really this time with just water. And, you know, after you haven't eaten and drank for 9 days, you can't even swallow water. It's like your body doesn't know what to do with it. I started to cough it up and spit it up. It took me a while to get down just a couple of sips of water. You think you're going to be so thirsty, you're going to go hog wild and crazy, and it's not really the case, because the body has its own schedule. And so for the first day, I only drank water, and I also incorporated a blend of 3 teas, which was the Hilal tea, which was the 3-lung tea, and the kidney tea. And the kidney tea really flushed my kidneys. And I have some pictures that I may post in WhatsApp, but I don't want to post here, of filtration. And I got a lot more out of my kidneys after I broke the fast. We can see the difference. Once I flushed the kidneys, it was just like, whoa, it was a lot that came out. So for about 2 days, I really was just drinking just the water and the teas. And then I started to add some juice to my tea. And when I had on day 3, I had the full juice, and I was drinking the Concord grape juice, bottled, cooked. I got extremely nauseous. So I had to scale it back down, where I had to dilute it again. So in order to avoid these sort of uncomfortable sensations, I say don't even start with juice, start with water, maybe teas, and then dilute your juices, and it's gonna be much easier for you. So that's about it. And if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer them for you.
Okay, cool. First of all, thank you very much. It was fascinating. It was really, really inspiring. And I wanted to ask, in terms of, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
In terms of preparations, what kind of, in addition to your food diet? So prior to the fast, you had been on a fruit diet for how long?
Well, I'm been fruitarian for 3 years.
For 3 years. Okay.
Yes.
And did you do any special cleanse or any special preparations before starting
Yes.
a particular fast?
Yes. It's very important that a few days leading up to the fast, you stop eating and you only drink juices. So 2 to 3 days, you do not eat any solid food, because going into the fast, you do not want anything in your intestines. And the 2 days before the fast, I'm not only drinking juices, but I'm also doing enemas, multiple enemas, with lemon juice, because you do not want to go into a fast with anything in your intestinal tract whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is the proportion of lemon juice and water in the enemas, and also the quantity of the enemas, of the water?
So I would say 2 quarts per juice of 1 lemon per 2 quarts of water. And I also will add, you know, a tablespoon sometimes of papaya leaf powder, because it has those really strong proteolytic enzymes, and you want to retain that enema for at least like 5 to 10 minutes, because you want it to start to strip your intestinal wall, whatever stuff there may be. And it's going to make it so much easier for you to deal with your fast.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how many liters a day did you do of the enemas?
I do about 3 per day. So the first one usually is the plain water, just get the stuff out, whatever that may be. And then the other 2, just retention enemas, where I will do either just lemon juice and water, or lemon juice and papaya. So 3, I would do 2 quarts each. Yeah.
Hmm.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Did you do everything just for medical reasons? All these fastings just for medical reasons? I mean, if you're a healthy person, do you have to go into that that extreme to fast so many days?
Well, the thing is that I am not still where I need to be health-wise. You understand? This is why I am doing it. So, yes, I still have health issues and challenges that I'm still working on. Okay. But there is also that spiritual component where I'm becoming really interested in the breatharian lifestyle. And really, it's really about retraining your body to absorb energy directly from the sun, from the universe. Because when we consume food, we are consuming second and third hand energy, right? So the idea is that we don't need to do that. The more pure energy your body consumes, the higher your frequency is. You know, I've become really interested in elevating my frequency into fifth dimension with, I don't know if you're familiar with the 5D earth and stuff like that. And because I do a lot of psychic work, because I channel energy, I channel healing, I find that the cleaner my body is, the better access I have to higher level information. My out-of-body experiences, my lucid out-of-body experiences, where, you know, I leave my body consciously and I can go and do things. It greatly enhances these abilities for me. So yes, there is the physiological component where you want to heal yourself, where I still have a lot of things happening. And as you heard, I talk about healing crisis. You don't have healing crises unless you have things that your body still needs to fix. And, you know, to this day, after I broke the fast, I started to have issues with my legs, specifically with my feet. I have a very deep genetic weakness with my legs and my feet that I've had all my life. This is multi-generational. And this fast actually brought this up to the surface more, where now I've had pain and my feet themselves have been swollen for the last few days. So there's still a lot of things for me that I still need to work on. And the thing about is, you know, yes, you can do shorter periods of fasting, but the longer you do, the deeper the body digs in. So there is a benefit from going deeper, because the more healing crises you have within a certain span of fasting, the more complete the healing is, according to Dr. Filonov. So yes, you could do the intermittent fasting, but if you do, let's say, even just 24 hours, maybe, and you do 20, even if you eat every other day, right? Because within 24 hours, you do enter autophagy, but it's like you only get to a certain level, to a certain depth within that time frame. So the longer you go, the deeper you go into the genetic stuff. You understand? So therein lies the benefit of going for longer periods of time. Now, I've been accused, like, I recently lost a friend who basically told me that I was sick and I have an eating disorder and I'm anorexic and all the other stuff. That's okay. You don't have to understand it. It's fine. I know what I'm doing, and I know what my goals are. And there is a limit. Like I said, the top end is 12 days. Like you go over that, you are now doing things that are unhealthy. Also, you constantly have to be aware of where your body's limits are. Like I said, I could have pushed myself to 10, but my body said no. You understand? So you have to go with what your body's capable of doing and what it's willing to do. So just because I want to go 10 doesn't mean that my body's going to let me go 10. So you have to be smart about it, and there is a certain component that you can say is ego-based, where you want to push yourself, but you have to be self-aware enough to know where it's your ego that's pushing you to do this versus where you really are doing what's best for your body. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Well, I'm on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What about breatharians that don't eat at all? Is that I mean, there's this possibility. It's certainly over these 12 days limit. What about them? I mean, people that don't eat at all. I mean,
Well,
if you've
I
got,
have never met, first of all, okay, I can only talk about what I know. We hear about these things, we read about these people. Have I met them? No. You understand, we can speculate, but this is why I can only talk about my personal experience. This is what happened to me, this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do, right? So because of the kind of spiritual work that I do and the kind of spiritual beings that I connect, including extraterrestrial beings, any evolved civilization from other worlds, other planets, the more evolved they become, the less they eat. You understand? So there's a natural evolution where the evolution happens on the physical level, where we're getting out of this very physically dense paradigm where we need to put physical food into our body. It's a sort of paradigm that's very old school. We're evolved. The human body is evolving where we don't need as much food, and we're continuing to evolve to where we're, you see now the trends where people are stopping to eat animal products. We're still a very long way away from that point where we can just survive on fruit, right? And it's a lot of conditioning. It's not because the body can't do it. It's because our mind has been so conditioned, you see? But
the problem is psychological, not physical, not the
correct,
body.
correct. And also, I've always had issues with my teeth. And what I tell you is when I do these hard, dry fasts where I don't bathe, I don't brush my teeth, how is it that my teeth grow enamel when I don't brush them, when I don't put in calcium in my body, when I don't put in what is considered to be nutrition that is supposed to be the building blocks of your teeth and bones, right? So why are my teeth getting better after 9 days of consuming nothing, right? So what we are taught is actually not true. It's actually counterintuitive, right? So it's not about what you put in, it's about getting out of the way. The body knows what to do and can actually synthesize nutrition literally from the air.
Right. I don't know. Isn't it a torture? I mean, if you're a healthy person in general, do you need to go through all that? And you're saying that you've got health issues and you're doing
Yes.
it for that, but
listen, I would have never become a fruitarian had I not had these health issues. God's honest truth. Do you understand? I would have still liked to eat the things that I used to eat. Listen, I used to love food, pizza, chicken. Do you understand?
yeah, but
For me, I had no choice. So I don't judge anybody. I don't say you have to do this. No, you understand? I was given really no choice. Either I was going to go to this extreme to fix myself, or I was going to completely fall apart and possibly die, right? Be on medication for the most of my life and whatnot. I'm not saying this is what you need to do. It's a matter of personal choice.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, because I also I'm on a diet of fruits and vegetables. I stopped eating fish and meat a long time ago, but there's still a long way to totally fasting, dry fasting for a few days. I mean, I did it once with Raymond, and it was a torture. I mean, I understand it was a detox, but you do it more often. You're saying you do it more often. Like
yes.
Every month. You say you're doing 5 days.
Well, it depends. Remember, I said it's like training your body for a marathon. It's like training it to perform. This is the same way with fasting. You're retraining the body how it operates, okay? And you are increasing its endurance each time. The same way if you would if you were training to run a marathon, right? You start with, and maybe you can't really run that far or that long, but the more you do it, you increase your endurance and you get better at it.
Practice.
Yes. Yes. So you start out, yes, it was hard. The first time I did 24 hours, oh my God, it was so hard for me. Like I said, the first time I did 50 hours, I thought I was the, you know, I couldn't believe it. I was so proud of myself. Now I look back, it's silly to me, but it's all relative. It's not like I walked in here and I was just like, I'm just this special person who does not need to eat or drink. I'm just, you know, no, it's, you unload your body, and the cleaner your body is, the easier it is for you to actually withstand going without food and water. This is the point.
Yeah.
The more you clean out the system, the easier it is.
Both physically and psychologically, because you have to get used to the idea, all the conditioning and all that you don't really believe it's possible.
Yes, psychologically is more difficult than physically.
That's right. I also think so. And
Yes.
but you're not considering, after you want to do all these fasts for medical reasons.
Yes.
I mean, aren't you considering, I don't know, this fantastic thing of stopping to eat altogether? I mean, do you think it's possible? Have you considered it? Have you checked this possibility?
Have I thought about it? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. You understand? I'm not setting such goals in front of myself. If I can be fruitarian for the rest of my life, I'll be very happy. You understand? I'll be super satisfied with myself. I don't need to achieve this to feel a certain way about myself. You understand?
Yeah, you don't think that prove anything to yourself. But
yeah, I think that I will continue to fast for the rest of my life, and certain stretches, maybe, you know, a few times a year where I do these long fasts, right? But only a few times a year. And then just eat normally the fruits and maybe some vegetables, you know. I don't know if I can become I don't know. I mean, it would take becoming breatharian. It's so much more than just the physical. It really, you have to work a lot of crap out of your system. And this is emotional. We're talking, and not just from this lifetime, other lifetimes.
Oh.
If you have trauma, if you have things, you know, you have to really become a saint in a way, in my opinion, to be able to sustain a fully breatharian lifestyle.
I don't know. It's still fantastic for me to understand it. I mean, though I've made a long way, it's not that I've got health issues or problems, but it's healthier to have, I don't know how to define myself, fruitarian or breatharian or something, you know, something somewhere there. But I started fasting after the process once a week, one day, 24 hours. But I don't know, I stopped doing it because I don't have any health issues, and I think the fact that I'm on a lot on juices and fruits and vegetables, I think it's enough. I don't know, maybe.
And that's fine, and that's great. You understand? It's not for everybody. It's, you do what makes you happy. You do what makes you feel good. I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm not here to tell you to do this.
I just wanted to hear why are you doing this? You're saying because you had serious health issues.
Correct.
Because I'm trying to understand why people are doing it. I mean, for the ego, for what? Yeah, I understand that. Okay.
And specifically, I had neurological issues where I would have seizures, where I would just drop and get up and not know how I'm on the floor, and I would be convulsing, and I would have issues. You understand, like things that are serious. Like for me, what's scary is that when you lose your mind.
Yeah,
that is a problem.
When you have no control or
yes, that was my biggest reason. And you know, I do iridology. I don't know if you're familiar with the science of iridology, where you look at a person's iris and you can see genetic weaknesses, and they're set up for certain things. And I do have a lot of setup for things like Lou Gehrig's, Parkinson's, MS, and stuff like that. So I was like, I'd rather not live than be in that situation. You understand? So this is why I'm doing this.
Is much better than beta. And I've heard that it's good for cancer. And because I see a lot of people suffering from cancer all around, and it certainly would be much better to fast than to go through chemotherapy.
100%. But also fasting is not a cure-all. People attribute, you know, miraculous things to fasting, like certain types of cancer, you shouldn't fast. Or, you know, if you are at stage 4, you shouldn't fast. It's not going to really do much for you. So it all depends on where you are. You see, it's not a one-size-fits-all cure-all type thing.
Okay.
Okay, Ivana, now I want to ask a few things. First of all, I wanted to ask about your level of activity during those 9 days, whether you were mostly in the restful mode, resting mode, or active mode, and also could you share some of your spiritual realizations or psychological realizations from this fasting?
As far as level of activity, I'm getting better because my adrenal glands are becoming stronger. It used to be that even within like 2 to 3 days, it was very hard for me to get up. I would get really dizzy. I you know, sometimes to the point of fainting. Now I don't have that. Yes, you still feel sort of, it takes a lot of effort, and I have to get up because I have pets that I have to feed, that I have to clean after. You know, you have to get up and take care of stuff. And so basic tasks, I really try to conserve my energy as much as possible during the fast. So, you know, I do a lot of sitting around or lying in bed, but I do get up, and because you get restless, it's this thing, it's like you're sitting around and you just want to do something with yourself, and you know, so, you know, I'll clean around the home, I'll vacuum the apartment, I'll, you know, walk around. Sometimes I'll go for a short walk, but after about like 5 days, I really am trying not to move around too much, because, and it's not even that I can, because it takes so much out. So by the time I do something, it gets so much energy out of me that I'm just like, you know, that a simple activity just gets so much out of you. And it's easier, I find that it's easier to fast longer if I don't exert myself so much. If I, you know, really keep my level of activity low. And during the fast, like I said, spiritual realizations, it's really, I feel more connection to the divine, but I always make an effort of that. Like I pray, I meditate, like I said, I work with these accelerator type technology things. I constantly make an effort, and I do feel closer, and sometimes I enter into these states that are almost like euphoric. You know, you feel really, really good. It's such an inspired space, and you feel, you know, so much love toward everybody and everything, and it's a really beautiful thing. And going through fasting puts me in touch with that easier than if I were just to go, you know, day by day, working, talking to people and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I find that I become more intuitive, and I get more psychic impressions that are easier. You understand? Yeah. I get more information, and it's effortless. I don't have to work so hard at it.
Mm-hmm. The system is clean.
Okay. Now I have 2 questions that actually my wife wanted to know. First of all, have you noticed any changes in your hair during the fast? So that's the first question.
So I used to have really, really, really bad hair loss that I suffered for years before I even became a fruitarian. And 2 years into the fruitarian lifestyle, I stopped shedding the hair, right? But every time I would fast, I would do these dry fasts, I would shed during the fast itself. So even though my shedding would have stopped normally, during the fast itself, my body would start to expel hair. But within the last probably 6 to 8 months, I no longer have that during the fasting period. I no longer get the hair loss. Now, I've learned some things recently, and certain chemicals that you may have been putting on your skin, like salicylic acid, and this is something that's in skincare for people who have acne, right? And they make the creams, the face wash, and I used to bathe in it. I mean, because I used to have bad skin, and I tried to manage the breakouts on my skin. My dermatologist would give me these washes with, like, you know, benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid, and turns out that salicylic acid leads to hair loss. So if you are using something that, you know, that has this acid in it, and of course the word acid should give you the hint that it's probably not something you want to put on your skin. And I would use it like all over my body because I was so obsessed with it, right? And for decades. And I recently found out that it actually leads to hair loss. So until you start to detox some things out, now I'm starting to get hair growth in certain areas. It's not growing everywhere, but first I'm starting to get my eyebrows back because I had lost my eyebrows as well. So the first thing that came back was the eyebrows. And now the hair is coming back in certain areas. And I see it come back first where I lost it first, where it started to come out first, right? So I still haven't gotten my hair back, which is to answer Rivital's question, this is why I'm still doing it. I still haven't gotten myself completely healed. I still have things that I need to do. I haven't gotten my hair back. Mm-hmm. Right? So,
at what stage did you notice the regrowth of hair? Was it before the fasting or as a result of?
Well, I've been doing fasting basically for as long as I've been a fruitarian, right? And I do believe that fasting really was one of the big reasons why it took less time, because I do talk to people, to women who lost their hair, also men. And some people, it takes like 4 to 5 years. And it took me 2 years to start, first of all, to stop shedding completely, which was a huge relief because I had hair coming out. It's a miracle that I am not fully bald. My hair was coming out in clumps. Every time I would wash my hair, there would be hair in a tub, hair in the sink. I would brush it out. It would just nonstop, endless. It was scary, right? So that stopped, but it's not growing in like you would think, like, oh, all of a sudden it's growing everywhere. No, it's starting to grow in mostly around here because I had receding hairline, and now I'm starting to get all of this here back. When I blow dry my hair, I had like hair sticking up like here on my parts. So it's coming in small increments.
Okay, thank you very much. And also the second question she asked me to ask you is, what was the most challenging time for you during this fast in terms of days, what number of the day, and in terms of the experience, etc.?
Like I said, the first 6 days were actually quite easy. I was surprised. I was like, wow, this is pretty good. Then I would say day 7, 8, 9, the last 3 days were really, really difficult. But it was really because of this unbearable heat that I felt. I felt on fire, and I just felt such discomfort with being in my body, this restlessness. It wasn't really the hunger or the thirst. It was, I I just couldn't be with myself. I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I would be sitting on the couch and I would be like fidgeting constantly. I didn't know what to do with myself. I wanted to go do something. And, you know, I would be hanging out the window, just breathing in the air. Now, I have to tell everybody, you know, Dr. Filonov, who has this dry fasting cleaning, he does not recommend people in the cities go beyond 5 days. You understand? So I went above what is recommended and what he considers safe. So I want to make sure that people understand this, right? If you're going to do this, you should be really in a place where you're surrounded by nature, by good quality air. It makes it easier because the skin starts to absorb everything from the environment. And this is why I prefer to do the hard dry fasting, because our skin is very absorbent. And unless you have access to really clean, good water, you don't want to be bathing, because then your body is drinking that water and taking it in through the skin, and you're adding chemicals into your body. So keep that in mind. You know, I like to live on the edge, but I would tell people, you know, past 5 days, you really should be in a nature-like setting, not in a city.
Okay, great. And another question in terms of urination and bowel movements, what did you experience in this realm throughout this fast?
You urinate every single day. And it was actually on day 8 where I started to have the release of kidney stones and gravel. And, you know, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my urethra started to burn. I felt like I was on fire. And, you know, and I started to go to the bathroom actually very often, it's almost as if you had like a urinary tract infection. You constantly go into the bathroom. And it was extremely painful. So you see, if I had stopped after day 7, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. You see? So the longer you go, the deeper the body starts to work on its issues. And prior to starting to eliminate the kidney stones, I started to feel pain in my left kidney. And that is my weaker kidney that I've always had issues with. So for a day leading up to this, I had intense pain in my left kidney. And then I started to release all the stuff. And it only lasted really 12, 13 hours. And then it was gone with no pain, anything at all. So basically half a day, from day 8 to 9, I had this thing that I was eliminating. And I was actually urinating more than I did throughout the fast, because the body was discharging stuff, right? And then it was back to normal. So you continue to urinate. Your body makes water out of fat and just burning up the garbage inside.
Okay, like how many, on average, how many times a day did you urinate throughout the fast?
You go about 3-4 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's probably very quite dark, no?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I have a picture of what it was like during the fast when I was eliminating through the kidneys, and then when I broke the fast, and you know, I flushed the kidneys, and it was even more. It was the first day, same day that I broke the fast, and I had the kidney tea, and it was like, whoa, it was a serious dump. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of bowel movements, did you have any?
There's no bowel movements, because I ensure that there's nothing in your, this is going back to our earlier discussion. You should not be having bowel movements. Your intestines should be completely empty. But after I broke the fast, I passed mucoid plaque. What happens, and I find this with dry fasting, ever since I've been fasting, the greatest progress I've made with bowel cleansing, and this is why I believe master fast system is so effective, is during dry fasting, the body starts to really dislodge things. I mean, the first time I had really let go a lot of stuff, it was day 4 of a 5-day dry fast, where I felt like I had a snake moving through my intestines. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm going to pass a huge worm. Well, it was not a worm. It was my body had broke loose stuff that were in my diverticulums. And you can tell that these are diverticulum type stuff because they come out in pieces and they're shaped like your intestines. And after I broke the fast, it almost was like a gallon of stuff that came out. So what surprises me all the time is that when you don't eat or don't drink, is that the body does the most intestinal cleansing. So this time as well, after I had broken the fast, it took about a day, I passed about this much of mucoid plaque. And it's, and it's shaped like your intestines. It's like, it's like the Holy Grail. That's what we're all working for, right? And it's very exciting when it happens. So I find that dry fasting is actually really effective in cleaning out the intestines, as long as you remove all the, mass that you may have in there. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good. And could you please elaborate about emotional release throughout the fast? You mentioned that you felt like crying and that you cried. So.
Well, I was crying. Yes, I had no idea. Not that I am aware what my trauma is, everything. I've done a lot of emotional work, but at the moment when the release happened, when I was crying, I had no knowledge of what specifically it was about. It just happened. Okay. All of a sudden I just started to cry, and I asked myself, well, what is this about? It's about this. And then I was like, who cares? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that it's coming out.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, maybe other guys have any questions, because we do have good presence here, but most of the guys are muted. See, you can also type it here on the chat if you have any questions. Okay, and and could you give any tips about breaking of this long-term dry fast, in addition to what you have said about doing it gradually and not starting from juices? Any other?
Well, first of all, give yourself a lot of time. Okay. And when I say a lot of time, you're going to be coming out of a fast for days. This means do not plan to have appointments. Do not plan to be going to work or have stuff to do. Because first of all, you're going to break your fast. You're going to sleep for days. Your body all of a sudden just, after you can't sleep for days, all of a sudden you break the fast, you have a little bit of water, and all you want to do is sleep. For the first 3 days, I could not keep my eyes open, because now your body is working in a different way. And the funny thing is how that one sip of water breaks the healing the body's doing. Because as I said, I was extremely hot. And as soon as I had those 2 sips of water, I went from being extremely hot to extremely cold instantly. And then I couldn't get warm, right? So it shows me that as soon as you break the fast, as soon as you have something in your body stops doing the healing work, and the process completely shifts what the body's doing, right? So now it goes into a completely different mode. So always give yourself multiple days, depending on how long you're going. And it's recommended that when you break your fast, that you go day for day. So for example, if I did 9 days dry, you do not actually ingest any food for 9 days. You only do liquids for 9 days, right? Because you want to ease your body into it. You want to be really, really slow. And, there's no need to like try to get the nutrition into your body. That's not the point. Your body's okay. It doesn't need your nutrition. It needs to shift gears. It needs to turn on digestion first. If you don't have the digestion, well, what's the point of putting the food in? Your body can't do anything with it. It's just going to cause you problems. So really nice and easy. All right. Water, stay with water for a while, then teas, then diluted juices. And once again, you're gonna feel tired. You're gonna feel like you need and want rest. At least I do. I've never gotten into a fast and I went, oh yeah, let's go dancing. It was never the case for me. It took me time to really start to feel normal. Like I couldn't even go to the store, or, you know, you really don't have the energy to even stand for longer than a few minutes, because you feel just so hollowed out here in your gut, and you just feel like, I just want to sit down, I want to lie down. Everything is in slow motion. So really, you know, you have the fasting time and then you have a few extra days. So allow yourself to have that time where you don't have to do anything.
Okay, great, great. What is the explanation, by the way, behind this great heat? I heard the theory, I think it was by Dr. Filonov, that
Yes.
body just becomes kind of a machine of burning all the toxins and everything.
Well, the idea is that really your particles, your atoms that you're made of are accelerated. They're moving faster in relation to each other. All the processes are accelerated, right? The body turns into this incinerator. You understand? It's burning everything up. And the heat is so intense. I mean, it's very difficult to deal with. You can't get comfortable. Like I was laid out on ice packs and I was melting everything. It's indescribable. You feel such discomfort, and you have this awareness that your body, your body feels different than you. You realize that you are not your body, because as I said, at one point, because of all the ice that I had on me, I started to shake and shiver. My body was shaking, but I did not feel the coolness. I felt hot. So I had this sort of incongruent state where here I am shaking from the cold, yet I feel extremely hot. It makes no sense. It's sort of like, you don't understand, how can this even be?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
Now, I
yeah.
also wanted to ask, in addition to working with these energetic pictures, what
Yes.
other kinds of meditations or breathing techniques, etc., did you implement that you haven't mentioned yet throughout the
Well,
fast?
what really helps, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Wim Hof, the Iceman, and his breathing technique, the really deep, long breaths into the abdomen, then the lungs, then the head, and release. Huge, huge, okay? Tremendous help. That type of breathing. I also work with crystals a lot. So I will, meditate with crystals. I will send energy into them and get the energy from them. And just meditating, just for me, closing my eyes and going completely blank, not thinking, not feeling, just going into that space of nothingness. It's very soothing, because when you are fasting, you're really confronted with who you are, your pain, your habits, all of it. And it's actually, I find that it's easier. Sometimes I used to struggle with meditating and being able to have my mind blank. Actually, it's easier now, and it's such a relief. You go to that place, you go, oh, there's no more noise. It's such a relief. It's like, I guess, when you have children and everybody's going crazy in the house, and you go and you find a quiet room and you close the door and you go, oh my God, this feels nice. It's kind of like that.
Good.
How did it all start? I mean, how did you get to that?
To what?
To fasting and all that. Is just because, gradually from fruitarian, from vegetarian.
Yes, like I said, I started with 24 hours a day, just 24 hours. And the reason I started doing that was to open up my kidneys. because I was in kidney failure. My kidneys were not filtering. For 3 months, I was on a fruitarian diet and I could not get my kidneys to filter, right? So, and I listened to Dr. Robert Morris talk about how dry fasting opens up your kidneys. And that's why I started to do that, right? And it took a few times of dry fasting for me to start to get some filtration in my kidneys. And I was like, now this is working. And once you start to see that something works, you want to continue to do it, right? So, and that's how I did, and that's why I did it.
So I wonder what illnesses is it good? It's good for, like cancer or kidneys. You're saying dialysis.
This is good for anything that creates an inflammation in your body, right? Because this removes the water. So anything and I also, because I was in kidney failure, I was highly edemic. I was swollen from head to toe. You understand? I was extremely swollen. Like I could not go to the bathroom. I would be drinking water all day and not go to the bathroom once, right? So this was another reason why I started to do dry fasting, because it would get the water out of me. So it was huge relief. So there are certain conditions, and specifically pulmonary conditions, that are contraindicated. And if you look at my article, I listed some of the things that Dr. Filonov outlines where you should not dry fast, right? And this is why it's important, because, you know, Dr. Robert Lockhart died, and they were blaming the dry fasting for it. So there are certainly conditions where you should not do this, right? So I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm not saying that you should go ahead and do this. If you're underweight, if you're dehydrated, if you're over a certain age, you shouldn't do this, or you're below a certain age, you shouldn't do this. Like cancers that are really advanced. And also, you should not attempt fasting until you've cleaned out your body to at least a certain extent. You have to clean out your intestines. You have to flush your liver. You have to have gotten a lot of stuff out before you can actually embark on dry fasting, because it releases a lot of stuff very quickly and can make you extremely sick. So this is, you know, a little farther down the road, after you've been fruitarian for a while, after you've had, you know, removal of toxins. And you have to be smart about this, not just go for the sake of doing because somebody else is doing it. That's why I always tell people, educate yourself, read the book, because it outlines what happens to your body at each stage of fasting, when you can and cannot do it. He even talks about, Dr. Filonov even talks about that certain times of the year are actually when you shouldn't fast, because it makes it more difficult. And that's why when you look at religious fasting practices, they happen at specific times of the year, certain holidays. It's because, for whatever reason, seasonally, electromagnetically, planetarily, the conditions are more conducive to this type of fasting than at other times.
What is the name of the book?
His name is Dr. Filonov. That's Filonov, and it's called Medical Dry Fasting: Myths and Reality.
Wait a minute, I'll write it down. Could you repeat the name of Filonov? How do you
Filonov. Filonov, Dr. Filonov, and it's Medical Dry Fasting: Myths and Reality.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
We can't hear you, Arik. You're.
Okay. Sorry. No, I said that we're going to put a link in the description for this video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
to the automatic translation. Obviously, it's not perfect, but that's what is available.
I have to, yes, because I inserted a link into my article, and since I did that, that copy has been pulled. So I have to find a different link. Okay, so I will do that. I don't know if it's because it's a copyrighted thing, it's a proprietary thing.
Probably.
So that link is no longer active. So I do have a different link for this that I will post in the WhatsApp group for you guys, so that you can access it.
Yeah, probably they took it off. That's also I wanted to add, because recently they have actually translated some of his work into English, and now they sell their PDF copies. You know, I don't think they published it as a regular book on paper, but it has been translated by a person actually. So
yes.
I also read Russian, but I haven't read his works yet. But I read it in the original, so we're lucky to know Russian. So Ivana, I think last question, on one of the last questions for this webinar, could you please elaborate on your daily like cleansing routine, daily and weekly cleansing routine in between those prolonged fasts? So are you doing enemas, so like say on a constant basis, or
not really
intermittent fasting of any kind or something like that?
It usually works out that I don't eat for at least 12 hours a day, sometimes longer, but I am not regimented about it. I prefer the longer stretches of fasts, you know. I'll do maybe like 24 hours weekly. I'm not a big fan of enemas other than in preparation for the fast, really. They're tedious, time consuming. The only times I would do them if I have a headache. They're excellent for relieving headaches because, you know, of the gut connection to the head. So that would be the really times that I would do it. And normally, you know, I wake up, I have a celery juice first thing that I will drink, then I have my fruit. And depending on where I am, like for example, after the last my last fast, it's been 4 months, I've been more in the trying to rebuild myself phase, where, you know, where I've been eating more avocados and more like veggies rather than fruits, because you lose a lot of weight, and you want to get back to normal. This is not, I'm not doing this for weight loss. I want to look like a normal human being. I want to look fine. So after like this, right now, I actually broke the no liquid rule earlier today. I had blended some frozen bananas and made like banana and ice cream with some cinnamon and had that, and I felt fine. So right now I'll be eating fruits and more like veggie fruits that are probably heavier to put some weight back on, to rebuild, getting the superfood blends in. You know, you can't just continuously clean because your body's going to run out of steam. So after a long fast like that, for the next few months, I'll be eating a lot of avocados, I'll be eating bananas, I'll be having heavier type of fare. Yeah.
Good. Okay, guys, anyone else has any questions? Okay, Ivana, so the last thing, could you, because probably lots of people will watch this video later on YouTube, so if someone needs, what kind of help could you provide, you know, professionally, or just tell us a little bit about services that you provide, maybe in relation to nutrition and in relation maybe to emotional release?
Well, I do a lot of things. I do offer health coaching. I do iridology readings, where I look at a person's eye and tell you what your genetic weaknesses are, what you need to work on, things like that. I also do energy work, energy healing. I do channeling, where I go into a trance state and I speak for different types of energies, for ascended masters, bring information of that sort. I do past life regressions for healing, you know, counseling. I offer all kinds of support. So I look at a person as a whole being. You understand? We address the physical issues, we address the emotional issues, we address the energetic issues. You know, I help people develop psychically. I teach them how to work with their own energy system, what it means, clearing chakras, removing blocks and stuff like that.
Good, good. So we'll put your contact information also below the video. Do you do it online or through personal meetings? How do you do that?
I do it online depending on whether there's availability for personal meeting. I also do tarot card readings. You know, I do a lot of different things, and video conferencing has been very convenient. And I just did, I had an appointment yesterday, and it makes absolutely no difference if you're there in person or not.
Good. Good.
And my website is ascensioncode.org, where you can see my blog. I've written a few articles. You can see my videos. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about how I channel, what I do. These are educational videos about spiritual things, about energy and psychic defense and stuff like that. They're free for you to see. If you go on my website, you're able to watch them. I also have my services described on my website as well.
Yeah.
Could you repeat the name of the website?
Ascensioncode.org.
Yeah, we'll put on all the links below the video
okay.
once it's published on YouTube.
Thank you.
Okay, Ivanna, so thank you very, very much. It was so enriching and amazing. Maybe in the future we can do another one, maybe about some other subject.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope lots of people will be exposed to this information and will benefit from it.
Thank you, Arik. You're great. Thank you for organizing this movement. You've got a lot of people fasting all over the world.
Yeah, we need to spread the light.
Yes.
Really need it. Spread the light by all possible channels.
You're doing it.
It was fascinating. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, friends. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.